Hello students, Assalamu alaikum, my friends, how are you? On my side, I'm fine. So, welcome to our lesson of biology practicals. Today we have shifting from chemistry, now we are in biology practicals. So, be together with me, take a chance, use the time to understand what is the lesson belongs to your day. For today's lesson, we are in biology practicals. Our topic for today, we are going to talk about the classification of living things. Classification of living things. Classification of living things. We are going to talk about the classification of living things, living organisms. So, if you're the Form 4 student, Form 3 student, Form 6, Form 5, you're welcome to our lesson to understand more this lesson. From the starting up to the end of this lesson, I'm sure you will understood and you will be able to answer your examination of practical. Today, our topic, classification of living things. I'm going to talk with you. I'm going to tell you to make sure you understand what we mean when we say classification of living things in the practicals. Now we are going to talk about the way of studying. What we have to understand the way of studying classification of living things. For example, when I'm going to ask you as a student, what do you understand when we say, what is the classification of a specimen, a certain specimen? Let's say we have a moss plant here. We have this organism, right? Do you see? Do you observe? What is the classification of this? That is the question. Another way, when you say what is the classification of moss plant, what we consider, what we have to study in order to understand a full classification of this specimen. What do you learn? How can you study classification of moss plant? That is our objective for today. That is our topic for today, and that is you have to understand as a student. When you are going to meet the examination in your school, you see, you are going to revise your classification topics of practicals or studying of practicals. So how you are going to study, what areas you are going to study, that is our topic, that is our lesson for today. I'm going to tell you and then you will understand. Let's start our lesson. I'm going to see the study hints, or study areas, the study areas for your topic, for your organisms. And we are going to use this moss plant as the demonstration, and we are going to know which areas you have to consider when you are studying the classification of specimens used in our practicals. That is our concept. You have to be a concept where you are going to study. So now I'm going to show you the studying hints, all the areas you have to consider during your studying, going to your examinations. Examination of nectar, examination of testing, mock, pre-nation, those examinations which involves practicals. So The first areas you have to study, the first you have to consider the common name. Common name. That is the first area you have to study. When you are going to study the organism, a certain organism, mossy plant, a ferny plant like this one. This is the ferny plant. You see, this is the ferny plant. A mossy plant, animal organisms, a rat. What is the common name? The common name, it means the simple names. Can I ask you, what is your name? So your name, that is a common name. So the name of organisms, you have to understand. The second, you have to study the kingdom. The kingdom. You have to study the phylum. You have to study also the class of organisms. If you go in advance also, you can study order. The order of organisms. So when you are going to study classification of living things, let's say mossy plant, or rat, or mouse, or cockroach, grasshopper, you have to study the kingdom, phylum, class, order, because our questions lies in this section. That is number 2. Number 3, another area to study, you have to study the observable features, external features. External features. External features of a certain organisms you have to understand, you have to study. Or this is called observable feature. Observable features. That is number 3. From common name, you have to study kingdoms, phylum, class, and order. And the external features, observations. Order in our level is different. For Form 3, study up to division of phylum. When you go another step, another class, Form 4, you can study about class. And if you are a Form 6, a Form 5 student, you can add to understand the order of organism. And then number 3, observable features. Number 4, you have to understand also to have the area, you have to know, to understand the another section is habitat. Habitats of organisms. You have to understand the habitats of organisms. Are we together? Hello student, I think we are together. Make sure you understand very well. In order when you are going to study, in order to go to sit for examination, make sure you consider this, the following. That is among of the important things, important areas. Apart from habitats, you have to consider also the modes of nutrition. Modes of nutrition of organisms. How organisms get their nutrients, how they feed. That is the area you have to understand. Mode of nutrition. We have heterotrophic, we have autotrophic. So apart from this, or in that types of food, according to your specimen you have been provided, or you have to study, you want to study, you have to understand the mode of nutrition, or it's called the mode of feeding. Mode of feeding. Mode of feeding. That is very important to your study. Number 5, Mode of reproduction. Mode of reproduction. How reproduce? What is the mode of reproduction? Asexual. Sexual reproduction, or it undergo alternation generation, or both sexual and asexual. You have to understand about the mode of reproduction on your study. Another part, another hint you have to study here. You have to know the advantages and the disadvantages of that organism. Disadvantage of that organism, you have to understand. What's the advantages of, let's say, mossy plant in your areas, in other organisms, in ecosystem, or balance of nature, on studying, or there is advantage of using. And this one, the amount of advantages, now we are in study. We use it on study. This is mossy plant. So you can say this is the advantages. Now we are using. I think you get the concept where you have to study your practical or classification of living things. Another, you have to study why belongs. You have to understand why belongs to kingdom, why belongs to phylum, why belongs to class, and why belongs to order. The why belongs to kingdom, why belongs to class, phylum, class, and order. You have to understand, you have to have a reason. During classification, some organisms are classified in different groups. So why mossy are placed in a plant? If it's placed in plant, why belongs to phylum Bryophyta and not are the same with Felicynophyta? So you have to study by searching the reasons why it belongs to a specific group. Do you understand? Do you understand? Student, do you have understood what is this? That is very important hints, the areas you have to consider. Also, another you have to consider, you have to study the economic importance of that organisms. Another hint to study is economic importance. Economic importance. Economic importance of that organisms. Economic importance. That means you comprise advantages and disadvantages of that organisms, either in our areas, in other benefit with other organisms. You have to know even disadvantages. Let's say, for example, this one. This is mossy plant, the amount of the advantages now we are using in studying. So we use it in biological studies or biological research. So apart from advantages, the disadvantages is found around the building walls. So cause the destruction of building walls. That is disadvantages. So you have to understand. Let's say honeybee, usually in making you can say the honey, yes, but it has a disadvantages it has a poisonous sting. So you have to understand the economic importance. That is number 8. But number 9, you have to start at the differences of organism from other organisms, You have to understand the differences of that organism you study or you want to study from other organisms. Because you can meet the question, say, what's the difference between this and this? Or can be asked, are they specimen like this one and this? Are they similar or different? So when you are studying, you have to consider what is the difference between the specimen X, specimen D, or specimen A and specimen B. You can understand, then you are going to meet the questions and you will be answer in a free. And then you will enjoy. When you meet the question, you will enjoy. That is number 10. So another hints you can meet through different questions when you are going to meet the questions, examinations, or you can pass through papers. So my objective for today, I was here, or we are in this lesson to show you the study hints or the study areas of classification of living things. You can meet another areas, and then make sure you study a full classification of that organism. I think for now we end up here for this lesson. Thank you for using your time. I think you have understood. You can watch twice, many times to understand. So now I'm sure you are going to study a full classification of living things. Make sure you study one organism by one in order to understand according to the questions of practical examinations comes or asked in your level. I think now we are at the end of the lesson. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for learning, still learning with me. My name is Mr. Maguru. I'm dealing with the physics, chemistry, and the biology practicals. If you have questions, you need help, you need eyes, we can share. Call it me, and then you get what you want. Like, share, and comment about this lesson. Thank you.